We are left out with the very last topic of the day, which is nothing but the spinocerebellar tract. As I told you before, we have the spinocerebellar tracts which carry the senses of proprioception. But I had told you before, the proprioceptive sensations are also carried by the dorsal tract. So why do we need different tracts for the same sensation? As you would all know, the tract, the sensations carried by the dorsal tract end in the cerebral cortex, whereas the sensations carried by the spinocerebellar tract end in the cerebellum. Obviously, cerebellum is the organ of muscular coordination and which is very important for the function of balance, and that is why we need a direct mode of communication between the periphery and the cerebellum, because just imagine the sensations have to travel from the periphery to the spinal cord to the thalamus to the cortex, and then just to come down again to the cerebellum. It takes a very long time. Instead, if we have a direct mode of communication between the periphery to the cerebellum, the action or the response needed will be faster and the state of balance will be attained faster. So that is why we have a separate cerebello or the spinocerebellar tract, and this spinocerebellar tract are not actually single. These spinocerebellar tract can be further divided into the dorsal spinal cerebellar tract and the anterior spinocerebellar tract. So why do we again need to have two different kinds of spinocerebellar tract? The answer is simple. The dorsal spinocerebellar tract obviously organs of proprioception are nothing but your Golgi tendon organ and your neuromuscular spindle, which is the muscle spindles, and from there the nerve impulses are carried by the first order neuron into the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, and there they synapse with the second order neuron. And if it is synapsing with the second order neuron, crossing over to the opposite side and giving rise to a tract, that is your anterior spinal cerebellar tract. And then what is the origin of a posterior spinocerebellar tract? The answer is simple. It is just like the origin of a dorsal tract. The axon of the first order neuron doesn't synapse. Well, the posterior spinocerebellar tract actually starts with it will start predominantly from the neuromuscular spindle, it will start predominantly from the neuromuscular spindle, enter the dorsal horn. After synapsing with the first order neuron, there is a Clark's nuclei in the dorsal horn, and this Clark's nuclei gives rise to the spinal cerebellar tract, which will run ipsilaterally, and via the inferior cerebral peduncle it will enter the cerebellum. On the other hand, your anterior spinocerebellar tract, arising predominantly from the Golgi tendon organ, it will have a first order neuron and then synapse in the dorsal horn, decussate at the anterior commissure, then can travel along as the ventral spinocerebellar tract, and at the level of superior cerebellar peduncle it will decussate to the opposite side, and via the superior cerebellar peduncle it will enter the cerebellum. And that is all about spinocerebellar tract and overall somatic sensations in toto. And as I told you before, I just didn't touch upon the temperature sensation, the detailed aspects of the pain sensations and all. Okay, let's just review in brief about the pain sensation. Just a sec. Pain is fast pain and slow pain. For fast pain, the neurotransmitter is it's a simple protein, simple amino acid rather, glutamate, which is an excitatory neurotransmitter of this central nervous system. Whereas for the slow pain, it is substance P, which is a large protein, takes a large time to synthesize, and as a result, it takes a very long time. And also, on release, substance P acts on metabotropic receptors, and as you all know, the G receptor pathway, the response takes a lot of long time to be produced, and that's why they mediate the slower pain. But the glutamate transporters, they mediate via the ion receptors, ion channel receptors, and the response is fast. As a result, as the pain fibers are divided into two, into the faster pain and slower pain, we have two different tracks. And what are the two different tracks? As I told you before, the faster pain, the two different nerve fibers, the faster pain is carried by the A delta fibers, while the slower pain is carried by the C type of fibers. And sensory classification, they are 3 and 4 respectively. Where does the faster pain originate from? For example, the faster pain is nothing but your the pain originating from a pinprick is an example for a faster pain. And for slower pain, visceral pain is example for a slower pain. You just think you have a acidity or a gastric acidity, you just didn't eat for a very long time, whole of your epigastrium burns, not just the part or deeper inside. You have the pain, the localized to the stomach. So basically the fast kind of pain, like the pinpricks, are very much localized, while the slower kind of pains are very much generalized and they are vague in nature. And pain also is referred to different places. As you would all know, the appendicitis vein is first felt around the umbilicus, and periumbilical pain as a periumbilical pain. And in fact, myocardial pain of a myocardial infarction or pain of an angina is also referred to places which are not connected anyway with the heart. It just doesn't stop with the precordium. For example, it is refers to the left little finger. Why is it so? It is down to the embryology. So let's go back to this. I would prefer using this diagram. It's a very good diagram actually. So assume this is a fiber coming carrying pain sensations from a viscera ending in the dorsal tract, and there will be another let us assume this to be T10. So this is a fiber coming from the appendix, let us assume. There will be another fiber in a different nerve root, of course. The different cell body. There will be another fiber which will also end at the level of T10. So basically, whichever whichever part of the body is supplied by T10, whenever there is a pain in one part of the body, every other part of the body originating or supplied by the same nerve um, is also feeling the pain. I will be more clear. I will rephrase my words. The referred pain is nothing but usually it is a pain which is not felt at the same site but also in a somatic structure that may be some distance away from it. Basis for referred pain is nothing but the convergence of somatic and visceral pain fibers on the same second order neurons in the spinal dorsal horn that project to the brain. So that is what I have shown you here. They both converge onto the same second order neuron on the dorsal horn. So if the fibers originating from this neuron cross over to the opposite side and run as the lateral spinothalamic tract, when they end in the brain cannot differentiate whether it is coming from the the uh, the T10, beg your pardon, from the appendix, or it is coming from the umbilicus area, because their pain is of a chronic, dull, aching type, which lacks a localizing tendency, and as a result, whatever pain has to be felt at the appendix is rather felt along the periumbilical area, and this is the basis of referred pain. I hope it is clear right now. And with that, actually, I would like to move on to the next topic. Or before moving on to the next topic, I would rather like to say where all pains usually get referred to. In case of a cardiac pain, the pain is usually referred to the inner aspect of the left arm and whole of the precordium, and even to the left side of the jaw. And diaphragmatic irritation, the pain is usually referred to the tip of the right shoulders. In case of ureteric distension, the pain is usually referred to testicles. And as I told you before, pain in the appendix due to appendicitis is usually referred to the umbilicus. So why is it happening? It has an embryological basis. Embryologically, all these segments were supplied by the same segment of the spinal cord. For example, embryologically, the appendix and the periumbilical skin, for example, were supplied from nerves originating from the T10 segment of the spinal cord. With that, the concept of referred pain is over. But what I would like to discuss now is the concept of pain control. As you all know, the touch sensation or the fine touch sensation is a pretty advanced sensation as compared to a pain sensation. So whenever there is a fine touch, whenever there is a fine touch sensation which is carried on to the spinal cord, what it does is it doesn't let the pain sensation, because it is a primitive sensation, and as a result pain is not transmitted while the touch is transmitted. And this is example of the gate control hypothesis, and this is coordinated by certain inhibitory transmitters like your glycine at the posterior horn of the spinal cord. And they also say that certain centrally located areas or higher centers, such as your periaqueductal gray areas, such as the Raffi Magnus nucleus, and there are certain areas in the medulla also, they release serotonin, which is carried down. And what the serotonin does is not let the pain impulses travel forward, or travel upward rather. So this is the higher mechanism of pain control. And even they say there is a center called locus ceruleus in pons. This serotonin, the norepinephrine it releases, not the serotonin. Here the transmitter released is norepinephrine. It also regulates the pain that is carried to thalamus. So this is all about pain, referred pain, fast pain, slow pain, referred pain, gate control hypothesis, and the central serotonergic pathway of pain transmission. With that, I would like to discuss certain laws which are quite important. As you can see here, dorsal tracts always carry sensory sensations, sensory impulses, while the ventral or the lateral tract, I beg your pardon, lateral corticospinal tract carry the motor sensations. So the dorsal tracts carry the sensory stimuli, and the lateral corticospinal tract carry the motor impulses. When they go upwards, and due to certain decussation, the motor impulses are carried by the nerve fibers running anteriorly, and the sensory stimuli are carried by the nerve fibers running posteriorly. As you would see here, above the level of the pyramidal decussation, you have the motor fibers running anteriorly and the sensory fibers running posteriorly, somewhere here, for example. So this is basically what is called as the, just a sec, what is called as the Bell-Magendine law. Well, this is what is called as the Bell-Magendine law, BM law. So what is Weber-Fechner law then? Assume you carry a weight of 1 kilogram on your hand, and on the other hand you carry 2 kilograms. Now you will be able to feel difference between a 1 kilogram weight and a 2 kilogram weight. On the other hand, assume you carry a weight of 25 kilograms. On the other hand, you carry a weight of 26 kilograms. Now you will feel that both the weights are more or less similar. Why is it so? This is because the sensory receptors obey the law called the Weber-Fechner law, which states that the magnitude of sensation felt is proportionate to the log of the intensity of stimulus. So it is not the arithmetic increase, rather it is a logarithmic increase in the stimulus, which is important for perception of the stimuli as two different entities. Next, we have the law of projection, which states that no matter where a particular sensory pathway is stimulated along its course to the cortex, the conscious sensation produced is referred to the location of the receptor. Like you may stimulate a dorsal nerve root cell body, your cortex will feel that the sensations originate from the periphery. Even after amputation, if a particular pathway is stimulated, you will feel pain or touch or any other sensation as to originating from that part of the body, and this is an basis of phantom pain. And there is another basis called the cortical plasticity, where the brain areas become weak after prolonged disuse and they become strong with repeated use, and this is also said to be a basis for the phantom pain, where as if the phantom limb, after its amputation, the brain areas responsible for sensations from the phantom limb are overridden from the opposite side, but whenever they are stimulated, you can still feel a phantom pain. Like when they get stimulated, now they will get stimulated when there is a source of pain felt by the opposite hand, but as if you will feel as if the pain is coming from the amputated hand. So this cortical plasticity and the law of projection are said as explanations for phantom pain, and there are many other theories behind the phantom pain which will not go deep into. And I think with that, the sensory pathway or the somatic sensory pathway, we have covered the major concepts. In the further classes, we will cover the special sensations, which is nothing but your visual sensation, auditory pathways, olfactory sensations, and the gustatory sensations, and also delve deeper into the nuances of the central nervous system. Until now, thank you. Until then, it's the goodbye from us, and we would like to reach a bigger audience. For that, we need your support, and please kindly share the video with your friends, and for doubts you can very well ask in the comment section. If you have any doubts, you can very well ask in the comment section, which will be cleared. And kindly share the videos with your friends, spread your knowledge. And if you like our videos, do like our video and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Thank you.